What's up, and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 89. We're almost to 90, which means we're almost to 100. Woo!
Yeah, holy cow.
Yes.
What the hecky?
Yes. Yes, which we are super excited about. And we're excited to be bringing you Monday Energy here live. If you're watching live, join us over in the live chat. And if you're watching later, no worries, comment down below. And we'll do some introductions. Hello, I am Carrie Lane.
And I'm Katie Cullen.
And we're going to be talking about Reign of the Seven Spellblades, Spy Family, anime news, and other recommendations. So stick around for all that. This nifty little thing right here tells you what we're talking about. So in case you ever are like, wait, I need more info, voila.
Or if you're like, you're talking about an episode I haven't seen yet, you can just hit mute until we change the lower third, and then you can come back when it changes. We're pretty good at that stuff.
Generally, yeah. I was like, we're pretty good, yeah.
we're pretty good at that. So, we try.
But also, speaking of, you can follow us over on Twitter at NTATNB, as well as here on the Fanversation channel. Make sure you're subscribed, give the video a thumbs up. And we're also on regular other social media channels with Fanversation, which thank you for it seems some new people have found some of our interviews recently. So awesome. Welcome. There's some of your interviews. I just saw people commenting and some of
really
Demon Slayer. Yeah, like some that are a little bit older. So I'm like, oh, hello, people, welcome. And
I
so
wonder if people like just go searching for things and then they show like, tell us how you found us.
Yes,
I'm always curious.
Please leave a comment.
Someone on another social media platform found a video of mine from 8 years ago on a completely different outlet and was talking about it. And I'm just sitting here going, 1, I'm flattered. I'm really glad you enjoy this. 2, how did you find this? No, literally, how? What? So I always like hearing that. I always like hearing when the algorithm favors us or when a certain keyword works or like.
Yes. And then if you're into more voice acting and anime stuff, we have plenty of interviews. Check out the playlist. So
we have so many.
So long. Awesome. Yes. So speaking of events and covering things we're excited about and news.
We are excited about so many things, you guys.
So many.
First of all, we always enjoy physical media. Streaming is amazing, but physical media is great. It's always nice to own that disc, that bit of data that has the thing you like, just in case something happens to streaming or your internet connection goes out. You know, we love physical media. Crunchyroll's backing us on this. We have home releases for January, including the first season of Bocchi the Rock, which, if you guys missed it, you got to watch it. It's about a girl with social anxiety joining a band, and the social anxiety does not go away. It's so dang funny. So, Bocchi the Rock drops on January 30th. We also have upcoming the Quintessential Quintuplets movie, One Piece Season 13 Voyage 4, and the Case Study of Vanitas Season 1 Part 2, among others. So keep an eye out for those. Those all release throughout January. And again, we are coming into our holiday gift-giving season, as it were. And if this is something that your friends, family, etc., that a gift-giving recipient would enjoy, you can always pre-order it for them and then print out a picture of it and put it in a nice little card. So they know they've got a gift coming. It's just not releasing until after your gift-giving season is over. I know I say this every time we have a media release, but it's always true. It's a good strategy.
Very much so. Because then it's you have a thing to at least give, and they have a thing to receive, and then it's a anticipation for later. So yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's not just it's coming later. It's here is exactly what it is, so you get the thrill of opening the present. It just hasn't been physically released yet, so when it is, you will have it in your hot little hands.
We looking over the live chat. We got Giga Derek. Hello.
Hey.
And let's get to, so speaking of not at home, but going to a place.
Speaking of going places, there's so much going places.
So the Crunchyroll Industry Panel was held at NYCC, where several new anime series were announced. And among those are Classroom of the Elite Season 3, Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf, and Unwanted Undead Adventure, to name a few. That was on Friday, October 13th. So, woohoo, Friday, October 13th. On Friday the 13th.
As you do.
Yes.
Spoopy
so that-
season.
Right.
Yeah.
And okay, in addition to also announcing Kaiju number 8 coming to Crunchyroll April 2024. So some other series I said the Seventh Time Loop, the villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. Sengoku Yoko and the Foolish Angel dances with the devil, to name a few. They also had some trailer releases and another trailer release and key art for Bye Bye Earth. And back to our lovely little banners. Go follow us here because we will post photos on there.
That we will.
And there we go. So for more information, check out Crunchyroll online to be up to date on other titles of when those will be coming out. Some of these, it'll be January for Classroom of the Elite. Spice and Wolf says coming soon. The Unwanted Undead Adventures 2024. And yes, a lot of these are January, coming soon, 2024, which we're almost to 2024. So, which is wild.
We're in the fall
stay
season.
Tuned. Yes.
We're in the fall season. This is previews for the winter season.
Yes.
And speaking of previews and anime and Crunchyroll, Anime NYC, pardon me. Try that again. Anime NYC is coming down the line, and Crunchyroll is going to have a heck of a presence there, including a full takeover of the River Pavilion with interactive attractions, panels, premieres, and more. We have several premieres coming down the line, including Metallic Rouge from Studio Bones and the My Next Life as a Villainous movie, alongside discussions with creators on the making of The Rising of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hero and Dr. Stone. So we've got, if you're going to Anime NYC the weekend of November 17th through 19th, like the Crunchyroll panels and the Crunchyroll Pavilion are going to have a whole heckin' lot. So keep an eye out on that Anime NYC schedule. Make sure you put all the ones you want to do in your calendar so you get the notifications. And let me know how the Villainous movie is, because that's what I'm interested in. That's what piqued my interest there. Something for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking over the chat, Giga Derek says, I'll be at Anime NYC all weekend. Woot woot.
Oh, yeah.
And belated happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yay, October, baby. Awesome.
Yeah.
And continuing on, because we have so many awesome things to be talking about.
We do.
Speaking of another one, Anime NYC. From High Dive, we have My Instant Death Ability is Overpowered. So fans will get an otherworldly school trip this winter on High Dive, and they'll be doing a premiere screening at Anime NYC on November 17th. So an exciting new isekai anime adaptation is heading to High Dive next season. And skimming through real fast, see if there's more. It's part of the Winter 2024 lineup. And just the dates, they'll do the first episode, looks like the first whole episode on November 17th at Anime NYC in New York City. So for more information on that as well, you can go check out High Dive on social media.
Continuing on with High Dive premieres at Anime NYC. Big Monday energy, folks. Big Monday energy. Continuing on with High Dive premieres at Anime NYC on November 17th. We will also have the premiere for Chain Soldier, which is going to be another one of our Winter 2024 anime. They will have the first 2 episodes screened on November 17th. So make sure to check out High Dive for more details. This one is a wild fantasy, and it looks like it might have some fan service. If you are a fan service human, just looking at the premise, looking at the poster, I think we're going to have a little fun with this one. So if that is your speed, check out High Dive for more, and be there on the 17th for the 2-episode premiere of Chain Soldier.
Sweet. And then another going somewhere thing. Sorry, I'm allowed to transition was a little more weak, but anyways, moving on.
We're trying. We're doing our best.
Speaking of November, Digimon Adventure 2, the beginning film adaptation is coming to U.S. theaters on November 8th and 9th. This is also with Fathom Events. So it's a brand new movie. This is Toei Animation and Fathom Events, like I said. Theatrical release, special 2-day event. And it is a present day, and the chosen children from the Digimon Adventure 2 will have returned with all new adventures, but now they're 20 years old. They're 20-year-old young adults. Fans are invited to join the fun and watch the movie on 750 theaters across the U.S. through Fathom Events. And so it will be 7 p.m. local time. English dub is on the 8th. Japanese with English subtitles is on the 9th. So check your local listings. And so for more information, tickets available for purchase at fathomevents.com/Digimon02. So you can check that out for more. And again, you can also check out Fathom Events in case you're like, what? And we'll post that on our
Twitter.
And the banner.
On our socials.
Yes. Yeah. Yay.
Again, I know we say this every time we talk about theatrical releases, but anime is so much fun in theaters. You guys seeing it with your fellow fans. So again, if you are comfortable going to a movie theater, highly recommend.
Indeed.
And now for something not completely different, but for the manga fans in the audience, for the fans of the classics in the audience, this looks absolutely beautiful. Comics and graphic novel publisher Ablaze expands with the launch on October 11th of the new full-color series Saint Seiya Knights of the Zodiac Time Odyssey. Woo. We are definitely posting the art that came with this one because it is beyond beautiful. Yeah, for those of you who are into Saint Seiya, for those of you who are into Knights of the Zodiac, regardless of what title you know it by, we are getting a brand new story that was published with Ablaze in 2020. Yep. Nope, I am reading this incorrectly. But we're getting new Saint Seiya. It looks absolutely beautiful. And it released on October 11th. So keep an eye out. Get your hands on that. And again, check out our Twitter to see this art. There's 3 pieces of art that came in this email, and I am absolutely blown away by how beautiful it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that sometimes you can really only find in manga, you know? It's kind of the Junji Ito effect. Like some things really look better on the still page than they do on the moving screen because they can really take the time and work on the individual images and add details that maybe don't translate as well to motion. Yeah. And again, it's art and it's beautiful. And I highly recommend checking this one out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's it for that. Which things we're checking out? Ran the 7 Spellblades finale, which, I mean, it was a finale, but it still feels like, wait, what? We're done?
I don't know. Talking about this with my roommate who we've been watching this together, but she wasn't able to watch it with me last night because of scheduling. And just watching this, it feels like we've talked about pacing issues with the show before, and I really do think that is the case. Yes. But I think the big issue is mid-season, they really built us up to, we have the murder cabal, we have these spell blades that we can use, we have 2 characters that have them to begin with. They really, really built up the stakes for this is what we're playing for. And then we just kind of level out and we wind up with this tournament in between, the kids to be like, who's the toughest kid? And we've gone from murder cabal stakes to schoolyard stakes. And even then with Ophelia Salvadori and that whole situation, as it were, it was a lot of fun to spend more time with Milligan. It was very interesting to poke into people's backstories and see more about how this world works.
No pun
but
intended.
Again, it still feels low stakes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I was going to say, speaking of the poking of Milligan getting stabbed a million times and it's fine.
And then she walks it off.
It's fine.
We have this of all the ways that Salvadori could have gone out. This was one of the kinder ones. And I'm like, okay. And then the next shot is Milligan just walking down the steps with him. And I'm like, I'm having a hard time with this show what are the stakes? What are the actual, like, we sit here and go, when you're going to Kimberly, death is on the line. Like, all right, cool, great, awesome. But like, this never felt like it was threatening to our main characters. I
No, but I
felt
did
like
think
I would,
Milligan could die because how
oh
we
yeah,
talked so much. Then it was back to that thing of, oh wow, we really like this character. This character's great. I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill the character, and then
I
it
would
was
have bought it if
no,
Milligan had died then and
yeah,
there. I would have been
I,
like, and
same,
there's the stakes.
yep,
But as it is, the only person who died from all of this is Salvadori, and she was planning
and
on it.
Carlos
Like,
technically
and you're right.
too. We got two,
Apologies. And Carlos. And it's that sort of thing like, she was planning on it.
yeah,
They knew it was coming.
yep,
It just, again, she
yeah,
kidnapped 19 people and presumably they all walked away. There was no account of casualties.
yeah.
And then, well, people stopped talking about it 2 days in because this stuff just happens. I'm like, then what are the stakes? We
Mm-hmm.
knew our main characters weren't going down in a situation like this because we know we have the higher murder cabal stakes going on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if this was supposed to be character stuff, we got that with Nanao with the I will not raise my blade to a crying
Yep.
child.
Yep.
Like, the pieces were there. I feel like
Yeah.
for a lot of this, the pieces are there, but they're not arranged well.
Yes.
It's the difference
Yep.
between a child's painting and modern art. You've got all the same colors, but there's a technique that is lacking in some ways. So whenever you look at modern art and go, my child could do this, I'm sure your child's very talented, but no, there's a lot of experience and technique that goes into that, even if you don't get it. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here is I feel like I don't know how long this took in the light novel. I don't know how much emphasis was put on it. I don't know where it was, but I feel like in terms of pacing for a show, this is where the light novel adaptation of it all really starts to show in a poor way.
Yeah, I was digging it, and I agree of how we've talked about the show that it generally it feels solid. Like it's good structure, got good bones, like it's a lot of interesting things, but it is missing something that makes it go, oh my gosh, have you watched this anime yet? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think this has ever come up in my mind that to recommend it. Does that mean I'm not enjoying it? No. I'm enjoying watching it, but it's not at the level that I'm going to tell friends like, oh, have you watched this one?
Yeah, because here's the thing. Right up through the Murder Cabal, it was at that level.
Yeah.
It's like, this show is
Much
batshit
more
insane. You
interesting.
got to watch it. Look how crazy this is.
Yep.
And then after that, the pacing issues and the stakes falling off. And I'm with you on that. And the thing is, for everyone going, well, if you don't like it, why aren't you watching it? Why are you still watching it? We are enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, if it was frankly terrible, or if it went in directions that either of us were massively uncomfortable with, we would have a conversation about it off the air and then come to you guys and say, we're no longer covering this. Here's what we're doing instead. We're not doing that. We are enjoying this show. It's just the sort of thing where it's like, well, yeah, this is a solid B. But if you mark up a few things here, rearrange it a bit, and maybe ratchet up the stakes, it's A+ material. It's just not there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that sort of thing. It's because we could see the potential.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, it's B material and that's the best it'll ever be. Because I've watched stuff where it's like, yeah, it's B material and that's the best it'll ever be. And you sit back and you go, oh, it's B material. Let's have fun. This is A material and a B execution.
Yes, it has so many good qualities, interesting things, or just little random drops that you're like, oh. So in doing a name search, I saw that Carlos, the information on Carlos's backstory, which I was like, oh, interesting, because like character design, I was like, what is this character? What are they about? And then it was like, oh, by the way, they had this cool thing where they do castration essentially, so they can be singers, and then it's okay that he's with the succubus. What? Like, it's all these things that you're like, packed in one little sentence, but I had seen that on Wikipedia. But then,
so you've been sitting on this.
I was kind of like, okay.
Oh boy.
but then seeing just how they like just say it so nonchalant and don't really give us much of anything, and it's just so kind of quick. Though I did like the singing thing, and it was kind of sweet, but then it just really was like, what?
I mean, Castrato are an IRL thing. Not so
Yeah.
much anymore, but like it was a thing. They didn't just pull that out of nowhere.
No, but it was still kind of out of nowhere for this show.
That's fair.
You're like, okay, so is this because then it's not one, you're a singer, but also then it's a succubus, so cool, you're not going to necessarily get a what? Like, okay.
It's
the Reversi was super interesting. Like that's one where you're like, I can adjacently see that to real world application, but it's interesting in the show. This felt a bit like, okay, like what?
It also felt a bit like, yes, this is an application of common knowledge. This is a thing that the audience already knows. And instead of it being like, we've established this in world and we're bringing it back around, it's one of those, you as the audience should know this because it's a real world thing. And like, not everyone does. I just have a lot of esoteric knowledge from a lot of different places. It's what happens when you read a lot and go wiki diving. But yeah.
But it was still like a sad and kind of beautiful friendship between the two of them. And we already had seen Carlos before mentioning like going in knowing like this will probably go down this way. And so that was just unfortunate. But then I think I feel better that Ophelia had like she broke through that, like Milligan poking at her of, hey, like getting to the root of it, I think really helped, because then it was that, okay, like her trauma, she kind of seemed to be able to break free from that. And even though she died wherever they went, I'm like, died,
they gone.
But I mean, like,
I don't think they're coming back.
I don't know. I don't think they're coming back, but like, what is death in this magical world of like more of a transference of energy? More that kind of
No, it
like,
seems pretty permanent.
Well, I'm
like,
curious.
It may have been a prettier death than the teacher we stabbed mid-season.
Yeah.
But they're still...
Okay. Yes. But then it seemed at least it was like a sweet release of, you know, you've gotten past that block that you had. And
yeah. And again, it was one of the kinder ways that people could have gone out. Like, thank you, narration. I don't think Milligan was helping her. I think Milligan was going for as much psychic damage as possible so that she could be killed so that the kids could get out.
Yes,
like, Milligan was not trying to help, because I was watching that going, God damn, girl, really? Oh, no, this is the psych. I get you. Okay,
I thought it was that too, but indirectly it helped. Because it was
definitely
calling out the bullshit of like, really?
It broke some things open. That's not necessarily helpful to her as a person, but it definitely, the idea was break these things open and then let the kids get at the weak spots.
Yes.
So this was a sacrifice play on Milligan's part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we get to keep her.
No problem, though.
Yeah, I guess she just walked it off.
Yeah. It's magic.
Like, I know people know healing magic. I know it's a thing. I'm also kind of sitting here going,
past that point. Yeah.
Could we like even have a scene where someone applies first aid?
Yeah,
because
like,
we were really going with, hey, she got extremely messed up. That's so many broken bones and stab wounds. And I think at this point, it's real big, no body, no death energy, which I don't want to bring Marvel levels of no body, no death into this, because my God, do comic books have a problem with that? But I think we kind of need to. Can a human body survive this needs to go on the suspension of disbelief, because the answer seems to be if the plot needs it to. And that's such a weak answer. But that again, A, material, B, execution. That's where we are with this show. I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
That was you don't watch that finale and feel like, I'm super satisfied with that ending. No. It's like, okay. I mean,
and then they're like, I was hoping for a stinger of like, this is your next target. This is where we're going.
The weird little thing that Godfrey picked up the whatever it was.
The crystallization of her magic. They've mentioned more than
Oh.
once
Oh,
when
yes.
someone is
Yes,
consumed by the
yes.
spell, they leave things behind.
Got it.
And that Salvadori had mastered, the
Mm.
highest level of the Salvadori magic.
Yeah.
It's that very specific
Yeah.
specialization sort of thing. And that's what
Yeah.
they thought I can't remember his name, the Bone Man. They had thought that
yeah.
maybe he was down there because he wanted it. And I don't
Our
remember
adult
his
man
bullshit
who
reason
looks
for
in high
our
school.
40-year-old high school student, that guy. Yeah.
But I liked our little montage of like, hey, remember these kids over the season? Cute. And then
Remember
like,
that guy who we liked? Remember that guy who we didn't like, but he had the literal orbs in his body to get peed out and get people where they needed to
and
be.
he's fine. Oh,
Oh
and
my
there you go.
God.
He didn't die either.
Everyone's fine.
I
There
think-
were 0 fatalities except for there were 0 fatalities amongst the
Yeah.
kidnappees.
Yes.
So again, what are the stakes?
I did like the episode starts and we were curious who's going to see this beacon. I immediately thought everybody.
Everyone. It was a
saw it.
Marvel level sky beacon. Everyone saw it.
What is the other? And then
Again,
like we
it's
get our
heckin'
cute
show.
moment of the now at the end, like we got some time. Want to teach me magic? And I am playfully teasing at it of because it was a nice like where are we leaving off with everybody and moving on. Now I guess we'll get to our murder cabal teachers and everything because we see them and then like that's the end for now. So I was like,
Yeah, if we get another
Okay.
season.
yeah, which
We'll see how well this
We'll
one did.
see.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
knows?
All right.
I do appreciate that we also had Pete hugging Oliver and crying. And I'm just like,
I was like, this is
everyone
so
has a crush on Oliver.
Yeah.
Literally everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has a crush on Nanao. Everyone has a crush on Oliver. Everyone has a crush on both of them. This is what happens when you have 2 flavors of shonen protagonist in the same anime. They get
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
There's one, there's the other, and there's the Venn diagram overlap. Everyone.
I feel that kind of covers it for now, and we'll go on to our other more solid show. Though we have thoughts. Hold on. All right, it almost feels like more filler. I'm sorry to say.
A+ material, A+ execution for this show overall, and I loved this episode so much.
I mean, like it was adorable, but I kind of wanted a little more moving along plot, but more
that's
because
not
the
always-
last episode was this kind of vibe too.
But here's the thing with it. For one, it's a comedy anime. It's
Yeah,
an episodic comedy anime. If you'll remember season one had a lot of setup, and it needed to, but it also had quite a few one-off episodes. And the overarching plot with the fact that we had the plot with the terrorists for, was that 4 episodes? The bomb plot, the dog plot?
I think so.
And then I think our tennis plot was 2. It does do 2-parters. We had a 4 or 5 part plot was the exception for most of what this is.
Yeah.
And it really did stand out because that was also very much a driving home the horrors of war story, which this show doesn't do as much because it is a comedy.
Yes.
So we don't get 2 stories in an episode very often. And I do think this was adaptations of a single chapter, both of them.
Yes, we talked about that, so I was thinking about it, but I still had I want everybody all together. I think it's a one-off where everybody's separate. I'm a little less excited of like, can we bring it back in to the team? Though I must say, poor little Bonds, thinking his thought process. I'm like, you know what though? If a dog could really express his thoughts that way, that tracks. That yes,
because he's intelligent and he's precognitive, but he's still a dog, and it's still dog logic.
Yes, it is. It's
so
like,
I love,
baby, and it was dark
it.
AF. Oh my gosh, we're starting off with like possibility of a dog dying over and over and over, and I'm like, as a dog owner, I'm like, I don't like this. Like this is maybe that's it. It just started as sour taste.
Maybe, yeah. Like I didn't see it as, oh no, the dog's gonna die. Because again, it's a
No,
comedy.
I didn't
I
think he was
saw
gonna
this as
die, but
someone with
still.
anxiety who,
Yeah.
people, there are people who can't walk out the door
Picture of
without thinking they're
shooting
gonna
the
get hit by a
dog.
bus,
It's like, what the heck? Yeah.
I just thought it was really funny. I
Yeah.
really,
Poor baby.
because that none of them would have ever, but it's between the precog abilities and the
Yes.
dog level logic, because he's an intelligent dog, but he is still a dog.
Yes.
Like, I thought that was just a hysterical mix. And then him being part of Lloyd's mission just because he wanted a good meal. Like, it's all very dog. Like, oftentimes if someone's going to do something from the point of view of the animal companion, they don't always nail it. You get the idea that this is a human in animal shape, but no, they really nailed dog logic. And I love that so much.
The math equation part totally made sense as well. Like, so this is going to happen, which for this, and then this is going to happen. No.
Just I'm gonna die. She's gonna make me food and it's gonna be awful and I'm gonna die. I have to get out because I'm gonna die. And it's like, you were never going to die, sweetie.
Yes.
You were just and again, that anxiety of like Anya telling her, oh, don't make mom mad or she'll kill you, because Anya's 5-year-old understanding of my mother is an assassin. And then dog logic, because this is a dog who was genetically modified and raised to be a bomb dog, and therefore kind of does have some idea of mortality, but is also a dog. He's a big boofer. He does not, he has big boofer brain. So there's an understanding, but not quite.
Yes.
And that's what makes it so funny.
Yeah.
So I really loved this. So just I appreciate Bond. Good dog, exactly.
Yes. Actually, that reminds me of, there was a meme comic book that's like a witch wanting a dog familiar or something like that, and then they're like, it needs to be evil, and so it's an interview. Are you a good boy? And they're all like, yes. So they have to reject them all.
Yes, I've seen that. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of cute, and then I almost wish these were one-off shorts. That's what it is. These feel more like shorter shorts. And so seeing it in an episode is a bit like, okay. But I liked the fighting with Lloyd. I thought that was very funny and just kind of like, cool, go Bond. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But then it transitions. We get that.
Before we go into the next,
yes.
I want to disagree on the shorts thing.
Okay.
First of all, for both of these, I think they needed the time for half an episode. They needed the full 12-minute to really go for it.
But that could be a short on its own.
For another, I think this is the sort of thing, especially the second episode, where it is important to have it in the show itself. The thing about shorts is you can't expect people to go out of their way to watch them. Shorts are generally ancillary canon. You can't build on them. As much fun as a funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer is, it's not necessary to the canon. It's a very good time, but you're not gonna not understand Thor if you didn't see this little short about Agent Coulson. You should. It's wonderful. It holds up. It's perfect. So I really do think that these did need to be episodes, partially because sometimes it's just fun to play with Bond. The second one, definitely.
Yes, second one, definitely, because there is character development and context. Bond one,
but it also would not have been, it would have been stretched out if it had been a 22-minute
story. That would have been painful. But that one had its moments too.
And I appreciate when we go back and work with Bond, because we don't have episodes centered on him very much like we do the rest of the family. And he is very much a part of this family. So it is nice to step back and go, okay, this is how he works. This is the inside of his head. This is how he fits in to this absolutely wild little group we have going on.
Yeah.
So, and again, an episode about Bond and dog logic didn't necessarily need to be 22 minutes long. But it's good to have, both of these are really good character insight.
That's fair. Yeah. Damien's field research trip. Poor kid is not
Oh, the
getting
boy.
sleep.
Hmm.
Yeah,
He
this
is working himself too hard because he wants
Yes.
more parental approval, and
Yes.
parental approval does not come cheap because it turns out his dad is terrible.
Yes.
Fight me.
Oh no, he's awful.
yeah.
I will say there's a little sliver that made me like his little henchman more.
Oh my God, yes.
I was like, before I was those two kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, these kids are meh. But this episode, I was like, okay, this made them a little bit better. I like that the one big hair kid, it's like down when he
It's
wakes
long.
up.
He just wears a beehive.
Yeah.
Incredible.
He styles it every day. Mad props, kid. I'm like, I couldn't do my
more
hair
than I
every
can
day
do.
like that. Yeah, I was like, that's too much work.
Nope.
But yeah, I like but it's also a nice lesson for regular people too, of just watching, of sometimes sitting and studying isn't necessarily the way you're going to learn something, but sometimes doing something else will teach you the better lesson. So I thought that was well put too.
Yeah, the whole spacing out thing, like, yeah, no, that's true. Sometimes you just gotta let the brain go. If you're a creator, sometimes you're going to have spots where you can't create and you need to consume. You need to read a book or watch a movie or go on a walk or whatever. And that's fine. It's giving your brain a rest. It's just, sometimes you'll start your commute and then 30 minutes later you'll be home and be like, I don't remember any of that. That's autopilot and that's your brain vibing. And as long as you get home safely, that's also fine. Like sometimes you just gotta let the brain vibe in much the same way that you can't sprint everywhere all the time. You gotta walk, you gotta sit, you gotta let your body recover. Brain's the same way. It's 6 pounds of bacon. Sometimes it just needs to sizzle.
Gig Derek said, rewinding back a little bit, bad dad, very bad dad.
Yes. Oh yeah, sky blue, water wet, bad dad. Distant dad.
I do not recall our eye patch teacher guy much before, but maybe it's been a minute.
He might be new for this episode, but I like Mr. Green
too. Yeah,
he
was smart. He was aware, and just like helping these kids. So yeah, I appreciated him, and we also get their elegant friendship.
I worked in education for 7 years. I was never actually a teacher, but I definitely got to see enough of it and see enough of the back end and interact with the students myself enough to know, like, teaching is hard. Education is very difficult, and teachers need to be paid a lot more, so much more. But anytime I sit down now and I watch media that includes education, is set at a high school, whatever, I always kind of sit here and go, all right, how are these teachers? What's this world we're looking at? And it has blown me away. My Hero Academia did this to me. And this show is also doing this to me, where they show educators who care, who it's not just, I come in, I do my 9 to 5, whatever, who it's not, I just want to have power over people who can't fight back, where it's people who are legitimately coming in and caring about the development of these young minds in their care. And so seeing our headmaster, like, looking at this and going, this is a budding friendship. This is very important. I can see these two staying behind to, because obviously these kids are playing the system. They're like, look, I'm breaking the rules right in front of you. Give me a punishment too, so I can go support my friend who's being punished. Like, it's not subtle. It's, and I mean, like, they're like 6 or 7. It's not meant to be subtle. Kids are not subtle.
Yeah.
But just the fact that, like, he's very aware of what's going on, and also being very aware that, like, okay, they're kids, they need to be able to play, they need to be able to relax, and these two aren't going to do it without Damien. So let's send them on an enrichment trip with this guy who's very, very capable of taking care of them and making sure everything goes well. And it's like, oh, it's your punishment now, you have to go help him. And they wind up on a nice little...
I also love that moment with the water, and they're like, you can stand up.
Yes. And the current was only fast because I was rowing fast.
I love it. It is a very overdone and cliche almost, like you can just stand up in the water. But I think it's funny every time, pretty much, or at least this executed it very well. Of like, and then they felt embarrassed, which is cute too. Of like, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah, these are very dramatic 6-year-olds.
yes,
One of whom holds himself to extremely high standards.
yes,
Even though, as a kid, you need to be able to run around and play and have
yeah,
enrichments. And like, it's not just all book learning. As adults, you need to be able to run around and play and have enrichment.
Mhm.
Put the meat-filled pumpkin in your enclosure and bat it around a bit. That's a thing they do for tigers in zoos.
Put well the you said
Hollow out a
what?
pumpkin, put
Oh
raw
yes,
meat in it, and then put
yes.
it in the enclosure. And the big cats go nuts because it's a treat
Aw.
and it's
Yeah,
enrichment and it's
yep.
playing and it's fun.
I
Yeah,
love when the
so
zoos do the like unique holiday themed activity things that they get to play
yeah.
with. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder
And
if
they
they
will
have a
also put
sense of like,
extremely large cardboard boxes in big cat
yes.
enclosures. So, like, there are photos floating around of like lions and tigers and whatnot sitting in boxes because if it fits, I sits is a cat thing for all sizes.
Do we think the animals understand the time of year as well too? If they know that holiday activity is coming up, I kind of wonder. I'm like, maybe.
I don't think so. Not the same way we do. I
Yeah,
think
no,
animals
but
who like I think they understand changing of the seasons. They definitely
yeah.
put the tangent
Yeah, I was
corner
like,
up. We're
hold
talking
on,
about
this.
let's go,
Yeah, this is.
tangent corner.
For example, like my dog gets a specific treat at like noon, and she knows. Like, oh, sometimes she'll be as early as 11:30, but always around 12. And I'm like, how do you know what time
Oh
it
yeah.
is? So
That's
I'm wondering if they get these treats at irregular intervals of holiday seasons, do they know like, hey, that one's coming up or anything? I wonder.
I think there's a big difference between something that happens daily at a certain time
True.
and something
True.
that's changing of the seasons.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, it's actual advice where if you have a pet, give them and like I don't think this works for like fish, but it works
Mm.
for dogs, cats, possibly birds. I don't know as much about birds, things like that. If you have to take medication, give your pet a treat every day at the time you need to take your medication because
Mhm.
if you forget a day, your pet will not. And that's a nice
Yeah,
little
that's
reminder
smart.
of like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you need a treat and I need my pills.
Yeah.
So pets and like my cat knows she gets fed at 7 p.m. Sometimes she's a
Mhm.
little early, sometimes she doesn't care, but she gets fed when I wake up and she gets fed at 7 p.m.
Mhm.
And she knows. She knows. But that's a daily thing.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I think there are animals who, when their behavior is seasonally based, animals who migrate, animals who
Mm.
hibernate, things
Mhm.
like that, like I think they have more of an understanding, but I don't think the tiger understands that the meat-filled pumpkin comes at Halloween. I think that's too big of a span of time.
It is a big gap in time.
I
Or
think
I
that's
wonder if they'll have the like, I remember this from before.
that wouldn't surprise me if that's
Yeah.
oh yeah, I've seen this because that's how they learn.
Yeah.
But I don't think they know to expect it. I think that's
Mm,
ascribing a human level of thought to an animal that may not be capable of it.
yeah.
I've been an animal
Wonder
rescue for a good long while, and they warn like, do not personalize the cat.
Oh,
Do not
yeah.
ascribe a human trait to an animal that is not human. You
Yeah.
can observe their behavior and say this thing leads to this thing, but do not attempt to attach an emotion to it that you think
Yep.
the animal is feeling, because that's you as a person seeing human
Mhm.
traits in other things. Humans like to see human traits in other things. We name our devices. Like, that is what we do. We pack bond with everything. We strap knives to our Roombas and have them fight each other. Like, weird human things where we personalize a lot of stuff or personify a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
really doesn't need to be.
And
Because
find
that is a
faces
people
everywhere.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Finding
What are
faces
your
everywhere
thoughts?
is a brain
Leave
chemistry
comments.
thing. That is this might be a predator in hiding.
Hmm.
That is a human pattern recognition thing.
We're still on Tangent Corner. I was beach walking and I met a lady while we were walking the same time, and she like was finding things that had faces and it made her excited. And I was like, cool, nice rock.
Creepy collection. Let's go. Yeah, I
Well, she
love it.
started talking to me because pink hair. Like, how often do you dye your hair? And I'm like,
Often enough.
Do you want a long conversation or the short one? Because talk to you about hair. But anyway,
I'm gonna say, heading
Hmm.
from Tangent Corner back into
yes,
the
let's head back to
episode,
our
because
episode. Here we go.
this is part of why this episode resonated with me so much. Because I think they still do this. Where I grew up in Colorado, in good old District 20, all of the middle schools at one point in the fall would do a thing called high trails. They would do it class by class, essentially. And your sixth graders would go up as a class into the mountains at this little camp, stay in cabins. There was a mess hall. You'd get to know other people. I think it was either eighth graders or high school freshmen who kind of served as the counselors. And then, of course, there was adult supervision. But there were, like, your regular classes were suspended for a week. You went and did activities. You learned about historical things. You did hikes. You learned about nature. And it was, frankly, amazing. It just, there is something about rolling out of bed for a 6 a.m. hike, which I would not be able to do as an adult. I'm going to be real. But as a sixth grader, you roll out of bed, you put on your shirt and your sweatshirt and your coat because it's in the mountains in the fall. And you meet up with the other 20 or so sixth graders who went, yeah, sure, I can do this. And the two ninth graders who were like, yeah, sure, I can lead this. And you all head up a trail and watch the sun rise over the mountains. And then in my case, when we were heading back down, I was like, oh, that looks kind of like an antler. And I pull on it and I pull it out and it's an entire deer skull. And I wish I'd kept it. I kept one of the teeth and I donated it to the on-site nature museum because I was like, I don't think I could take this home. I wish I'd tried. I wish I'd kept it.
Like,
my one high trails regret was not keeping the deer skull. But it's one of those things where, like, that is an experience that I'm 35. It's been 20 years. It's sticking with me, obviously. And that is the sort of thing that you will remember. That is the sort of enrichment in your enclosure that you need. And again, I think this dovetails into our episode where all of this stuff is still presumably on campus or close enough.
No, they said,
they
said
this
is at Eden. He's like, wow,
yeah,
there's
and
so much space here. Yeah.
So all of this is, how do you have all of this in the middle of a city? But okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're not questioning that.
Yeah.
But this is the sort of thing where
I remember doing this in middle school. We need better supervision.
I was too good a kid to wander off, and also they very much impressed the predators thing. You did not fuck around in high trails. You got sent home.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. There's a level of FAFO when you're out in the Colorado wilderness, and the level of FA was very, very low, with the understanding that we will send this child home if they cannot follow the safety rules.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think this was the sort of thing they needed for, a 6-year-old, or possibly 7 at this point, but an elementary school child who was overworking themselves academically in an attempt to get attention from dad. And just the sort of reminder that there is more to the world than this. Getting a practical lesson about, here's how you do this. Here's how you whittle things to make a fish hook. Here's how you find worms. Here's how you catch fish and prepare it. Like,
that was funny. He doesn't like worms a lot.
Just his friends chasing him around. Like, oh yeah. No, these are absolutely. This show is so good at these. The show is good at dog logic, and the show is good at kid logic.
Yes.
And it's very hard to nail both of those. And the show does it extremely well. Again, A+ material, A+ execution. So I appreciate that we had this episode where, yes, we needed this bit of development. We needed this bit of loosening up for these kids, for this very uptight child who's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, even if he put it there himself. But, or I guess parental expectations put that on him.
Yeah.
But having this teacher encouraging, like, we're going to go out, we're going to do this. It's okay if you let your brain just vibe for a while, because that's
Mhm.
how your brain recovers. That's how you prepare for other things. Oh, you
Yep.
want to be a politician? That's great. Oh, you don't know what you want to do? That's also great. You've got time to figure it out. You've got just a very affirming episode that I think is like helpful for the younger people in the audience going, oh yeah, no, maybe I could use that. Maybe I could just go like take a walk around the neighborhood. Maybe I do
Mhm.
need some time to step back. Maybe it's okay if I space out for a little bit, if it's just my brain going, and we're going to recalibrate for a hot minute. But it's also good for the adults in the episode to go, right, meat-filled pumpkin in my enclosure. Let's go. Make sure you have your meat-filled pumpkin. Metaphorically. Metaphorically. It is a metaphor. I
I feel
cannot
like
stress
this
that
could be
enough.
a fun like title for a horror movie or something like that.
I mean, you can do an actual meat-filled pumpkin if you're planning on like cooking that thing and serving it for dinner. I've seen some good recipes. But in terms of enrichment for your enclosure, leave the tiger enrichment to the tigers, to the literal tigers, and find a human enrichment for you.
Yes, yes. I feel that's it for Spy Family because
Yeah, I spent
well,
a lot of time talking
but
about meat-filled pumpkins.
speaking of enrichment,
You should go to the
things
zoo.
other things you should check out.
Your local zoo.
Yes, I would recommend
Go see the
that.
tigers.
Yes. Uh,
Now that I've derailed you.
no, sorry. I'm like recommendations and things. Well, one is yes, if you can't go outside, make sure to go outside. But sunlight is good for you and fresh air, and drink your water and beverages. And yes, so recommendations on. I'm like, what? Yeah, this was a week that not anything super new. One I saw, I went to the Indian Film Festival of Los Angeles. I was covering that as press for another outlet, and I saw the only feature film I was able to see was All India Rank, and it is a new film, and it is about it's set in India. It's in the 90s. This is it's like a very indie vibe, and it's speaking of pressure from parents, and hearing other people talk about it after, apparently this is very spot on of exactly what it was like there at that time. Is there was this boom of sending your kids to like an MIT kind of school going, it's called ITT. So this main character is going to an ITT prep school and just having to get in, but it's not his dream at all. It's just his dad's. And so it's just kind of figuring out your life, and then his parents trying to figure out what they do now that their son's not home right now. So it was funny. It was just kind of an interesting snapshot of that time period. And like, I didn't grow up in India in the 90s, but hearing other people talk about it was very cool to hear that they were like, yes, this really captured it. So
Dang.
whenever that comes out, and hopefully it does well, enough of their festival run, but check that out. And later we'll be doing the social. I did speak with the director at the beginning of the week, so it was cool to then finally see his film. Nice. But yeah, we were doing spooky recommendations.
Yes, I was going to say spoopy thing.
Yes, spoopy thing. What was something else I was watching of? I'm like, oh, come back to me. I'll think about it.
Okay. Yeah. I've been watching Loki. We're 2 episodes into this season.
So it's the second season, yes.
Yeah, second season.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I'm having some trouble with it. It's again, it's a very high quality show. It's very well executed, and Owen Wilson steals it. Like Tom Hiddleston is amazing. Owen Wilson steals it. My dude.
Okay.
I'm having trouble with the stakes for this season.
Speaking of stakes, yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, what exactly are we working towards? What is if this thing happens, what are the consequences? Like, all of the pieces are there. They just have not gelled for me. And I don't know if that means I need to go back and rewatch these 2 episodes and see if I can figure it out. But like, it's a lot of fun. It's very good. It drops Thursday nights on Disney Plus. It's a 6-episode season doing weekly releases. So it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm just having a little trouble figuring out what, like again, if you don't know what the stakes are, then what the heck are we doing?
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
yeah, so that's that. I was fortunate enough to win concert tickets randomly in the middle of last week
Yay.
to see Death Cab for
Woo.
Cutie and the Postal Service live. And for those who don't know, they have the same frontman. Postal
Okay, I don't
Service
think
did, yeah, Postal Service did one album ever. And,
okay.
Death Cab for Cutie is continuing, but they had, I believe the album that's hitting its 20-year anniversary is
Wow.
Transatlantica.
Okay.
And so they played the entire Transatlantica album, and then they swapped over, and then they played the entire Postal Service album. I didn't know a single song from that Death Cab for Cutie album. And everyone was like, we're vibing, we're having a good time, whatever. And then they swapped to Postal Service, and the entire audience for the Hollywood Bowl was on their feet just for most of that album.
Yay.
So it was an incredible performance. It was very good. I have footage from some of the songs on my Instagram, but mostly when I'm there, I've discovered that when I record things at a concert, it takes me out of things a little bit because there's that extra layer watching the screen instead of watching the performance.
Science to that. Yep.
Yeah. So I tend to record for maybe a minute for the songs that I want to have a little record of, but I do not record entire things. So there's snippets on my Instagram. And if you are able, if they're coming near you, if it's not sold out already, if you're able to see them live, highly recommended. It was just a vibe.
Nice.
It wasn't a super like crazy concert. Everyone was just having a good time. Everyone was chilling. It was, again, I highly recommend live performances. I highly recommend live music. Like it's a very, very different. It's enrichment for your enclosure.
Yep.
It's different than you'd normally get. Like, I recommend it. I love it. Yes. Spoopy things. Spoopy things. I feel like I had something else I was going to talk about, and my entire brain went.
Do you want ping pong back and then we'll come back again?
No, I just think everyone should watch Scream. I legitimately do not remember what I recommended week 1. So if I already recommended Scream, then I guess you should just watch Scream again.
The franchise.
The franchise. I'm not kidding. Here's the thing. There are no bad Scream movies. There's one mediocre one stuck in the middle there. And everyone's going to fight over which one that is, but I have my own opinions. But there are no bad Scream movies. If you've never done a horror movie in your life, some of the brilliance of the franchise might be a little lost on you because they very much comment on the state of horror at the time that these movies are made. So in the 90s, when the original one was made, it was very much the slasher genre. Late 90s, we had a talk about sequels, essentially, and then the third one was threequels. The fourth one talked about, they call them requels. It's a reboot, but it's also a sequel. The fifth one kind of went in on, talked a bit about, like, elevated horror. Talking about, like The Witch and whatnot. Your A24 releases, as it were. And also talked a lot about reception with horror fans. And the sixth one was just batshit insane. The sixth one was very much a tribute to fans of the franchise. If you've been in it, if you've seen them all, like the sixth one was very much leaning in and going, this one's for you guys. We're going to have some fun. This one's for you. And it threw some curveballs. Absolutely incredible. Just so good. So yeah, I don't watch a lot of horror. I know it doesn't sound like that's the case, but it is. I don't watch a lot of horror. I love the Scream franchise. I love the movies. I love the TV show they made, even though we never got a satisfactory answer because cancellations happen. Yeah, I really do enjoy the Scream franchise. And it is, I think, one of the very few horror franchises where literally every cinematic entry is in the same continuity. Like, I think Chucky is the only other one that's done that, where there haven't been reboots and branching timelines, and well, this one's this and that one's that. You know, the opposite of the Friday the 13th timeline, as it were.
Yep.
No, the opposite of the Halloween time. Well, both Friday the 13th
Yes,
and Halloween.
Yeah,
I will say, and again, started it with this, it is the only franchise that has continuing continuity to not have any duds. It doesn't have any, ooh, this was not great movies in there. It has, that one was all right, but it doesn't have any moments, which is not easy to do. So
I think I just haven't seen the last two, so I would agree with all that.
They're so good. Oh my God. Scream 5, there was one point where I was yelling in theaters. Not like a scare, but it made a point, and I was like, oh! You don't get me with that very often. I don't do that a lot for something I'm seeing in theaters for the first time to kind of get the, that hit me right where I live. But Scream 5 rolled up and went, hey. Like, okay.
I'll have to let you know.
Got me. Yep. So Scream franchise. If you can handle a slasher, then yeah, definitely do it.
I was looking over here in the chat. We got Gig Derek says Ruby and Justice League Part 2 come out tomorrow digitally. Thank you.
Fun.
And my only spooky recommendation is Shaun of the Dead. Excellent recommendation. One, I realized I'm like, oh yes, I do have a recommendation. So I was looking for something spooky to watch, and I was like, and I know I'm extremely late to this party, but I finally started iZombie, and it is a cute. I enjoyed the first episode. It is really weird to watch now after watching Ghosts because the lead actress is the same person. And so it's interesting going this way versus that and being like, oh, I recognize her. But yeah, so far, I mean, if you've probably heard of the show, but maybe you didn't watch it. So it's essentially detective comedy show with horror because as a zombie, when she eats the brain, she has memories and then works with a detective and says she's psychic to help solve crimes, which I was like, sure. Love it. It's great. But yeah, so far entertaining and light enough. Like I just wanted, something easy to digest that had a horror vibe, and so far so good. And I know it was a very popular show. It just never, for whatever reason, never got around to watching it. So
did you finish Vampire Diaries?
No, I could not watch that because I was on my laptop, and so I was like, I need something to watch right now. So that's why I started.
That's fair.
The laptop was not logged into the account, and I can watch Vampire Diaries. No, what episode?
That's fair.
But then you know what? And in calling back to Vampire Diaries, you know what? Sometimes you just like your little silly comfort show, and I'm like, I just want to watch my stupid teen vampire drama.
Oh yeah.
No, I think I'm around episode 14 or 15 out of 22 in season 1. So moving along, but it's
going to be a minute. There's like 7 seasons or something crazy.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, thank you everybody for that.
Just one more thing. I'm
yes,
adding on. Yes. Just real quick. I know I've mentioned these YouTube channels before, but if you want spooky YouTube content, if you want more of a comedy bent, look at the YouTube channel Dead Meat. They do kill counts. They do a weekly podcast. They do all sorts of fun stuff. I recommend the Jurassic Park kill counts. I also recommend they're doing some crazy stuff because they can't really cover movies right now because of the WGA, which has now ended, but it wasn't when they swapped, and SAG-AFTRA strikes, and they're supporting those. So the kill counts are a little screwy right now, but they're very fun. One of the most recent ones was covering Team Star Kids, The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, which is a horror comedy musical, and frankly amazing if you want to watch that too. But yeah, if you want YouTube content, slightly on the shorter side, 20, 30 minutes, digestible, good stuff. Dead Meat, if you want a slightly more comedy bent. If you want a more analytical bent, Ryan Hollinger does amazing video essays about all sorts of horror. And he recently did a retrospective on the Cornetto trilogy. We were just talking about Shaun of the Dead. Like within the past month, he did this retrospective. He
Nice.
does obscure movies, he does popular stuff, he does series, he does the occasional video game. Like, and I think he's Welsh. He has such a great accent. It's so good. But yeah. Highly recommend Dead Meat and Ryan Hollinger for your horror YouTubing needs.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for nighttime at the Nerd Bar. I was going to say on this Monday evening, which is when we are recording, but whenever you may be watching, leave comments down below on the different stuff we have talked about. We have a lot of fun prompts, so please interact. And where can people find you online, Katie?
You can find me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I am also on another channel called Silver Screams. That is a horror channel where my roommate and I talk horror things. She knows all the horror things. I am a hanger on, and we have a good time. If you want to see us transcend reality, we did a video about the Tom Cruise Mummy, which wasn't good. And if you want to see me jump out of my skin in some of our reaction videos, I recommend either of the Halloween trailer ones because there's something about the Halloween trailers that just, yes. Also, the Evil Dead Rising trailer kind of put me through the roof at one point. And it's all on video, so if you enjoy watching that, we got that on Silver Screams.
Nice. And y'all can find me online at Carrie Delane. That's Karidlane. Across all the social media webs. I just posted my red carpet outfit from, that was last night. Last night for the Indian Film Festival of Los Angeles. It's a gorgeous pink outfit. We went pink. So it's like pink and gold all the way down. And so I made a fun video of that. So that is a huge shout out. Thank you to Fashion by Rohini. If you are in the Artesia area, they have a beautiful shop. And if you have any kind of Desi event you're going to or involved with, that is a spot you should check out. And yeah, you can find more of that content on my page from that festival. I've shared and tagged it, and there'll be hopefully interviews coming soon, as well as just other kind of stuff. And make sure you're checking out the NTATNB. I'm like
every time.
And, right? It's one of those, I don't know, maybe it's just
Big Monday energy.
Yay. Yes.
Yay.
And be sure to check out here on the Fanversation channel, subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, share it with other people, because if they're like Spy Family, getting more into Spy Family, so woohoo.
Yeah.
And we'll give you more recommendations and all kinds of good stuff like that. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.